If you own a 1970s Ford truck and you're looking to upgrade your rear suspension, your rear axle, and add disc brakes, then definitely stay tuned for this episode of Dentside Depot, because we're going to install Vintage Truck and 4x4's complete brand new kit, rear brackets on this truck. I'm going to show you how to upgrade to a better axle with disc brakes for cheap. We're going to get a lift kit installed on the crew cab project. I'm even going to show you how to modify your firewall to fit a ZF5 transmission. I'm going to show you how to do a big disc brake upgrade on your Dana 60 Kingpin front axle. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to drop this cab on top of this truck and make it a full roller with the powertrain in it. So stay tuned. Let's see what this truck looks like by the end of this episode. Okay, one of the biggest problems with 1970s Ford pickup trucks is that the brackets on the frame for the rear suspension often rust out and become no good over time. The problem is no one offers the front position frame mount for the rear suspension. The rear position frame mounts, the best you're going to be able to do for a factory replacement is this cheap Chinese part right here. We're going to fix all that today with brand new parts from Vintage Truck and 4x4. And the first thing I want to talk about is their brand new, this is one of the first sets to come out of production, the brand new front rear position suspension bracket. And this is a really amazing nice piece. These are all fabricated parts that we're going to be installing today. And here's the thing, and we're going to go out, we're going to look at the Dearborn in a second. You can see how nice this part looks, and here's the important thing. It is designed specifically for the 73 through 79 Ford trucks that use this particular type of bracket, this one being the 4x4 bracket. The problem with the other brackets, you can get the cheap Chinese forward rear position brackets, but they are meant for OBS trucks. So let's go out and let's take a look really quick at that bracket on the Dearborn. So here's the bracket I have on the Dearborn truck, and you can see it's just a stamped piece. Nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it's not going to be as strong. But the problem with this bracket is it's designed for the OBS frame, and the bolt holes do not line up. So the top ones might line up pretty good, but the bottom ones do not. So you're gonna have to ream out the bracket to get it to fit correctly. And that's a really big problem with these trucks, but now we have that fixed. Because as you can see, this bracket is absolutely phenomenal, and it was actually designed for the application that we're gonna be installing today. So this is a really nice piece. We're also going to be installing the rear position mounts. Now these do come in bare metal, so you will have to get them powder coated or paint them or whatever you want, but you can see how absolutely incredible this mount looks, and the production quality on it is again fabricated. Now let's take a look at what a factory replacement will look like. You just have this really cheap, really thin piece of metal. Let's get a better look here. Line them up. You can see the difference in the size. Okay, so you're going to get thinner metal, and it's not nearly going to be as strong. And if you're doing an engine swap of some kind and adding a lot of power, you're going to want an upgraded mount system. And that's what you see here, a fabricated mount that can handle the increased power that you will be sending to your Dentside Ford truck like we're doing with our 460 swap. And I would guess that this bracket is probably at least twice as strong, probably more than twice as strong as what a factory replacement was. These, you can get these for 20 bucks each. They're super cheap. If you're replacing the brackets anyway, you might as well just spend a little bit more money and get the good ones. And I always say this, but the beauty of Vintage Truck and 4x4 kits is you're going to get all grade 8 hardware with the correct locking nuts with the kit. Now some kits may include these bolts for these particular mounts, but they're not going to include these ones most likely, and this is what you want. These are the big pain in the butt bolts to find at Home Depot, and when you order these kits, you get them with the kit, so you're ready to go for all the brackets. So now, no longer have to use these cheap brackets. This is the last set I will ever buy of these, and I am going to be trashing them because I'm never going to use them again. Without further ado, let's get our brackets on and our suspension on. Okay, now I've said this on my channel before, if I'm not enjoying installing parts and building these trucks, then I don't want to do it. And part of this is I hate putting crappy parts on, and this is just one of those things where this part is just outstanding and it makes you feel good when you're done doing a job. So first thing is, for installing the forward rear position brackets, I did ream the holes out to a 1/2 inch because you're going to get a grade 8 hardware upgrade, and then everything should just bolt right into place perfectly. So let's see how it goes here. And it's always so nice having a kit that comes with all the hardware that you need, because the last thing you want is to spend your hard-earned money on something and it doesn't even come with all the parts that you need to put it together, and that's always annoying. And there's definitely a lot of companies out there that sell decent parts, but then you got to put the rest together yourself, and that's never fun to do. And as you can see here, we got everything that we need to get this job done. Hey, and there you go, and that first bracket is installed, and you can see how nice of a fit that we have. Another thing I'll point out, when we get to putting the spring in, the aftermarket ones, aftermarket mounts that you get for, you know, the cheap Chinese ones, this spacing is not necessarily correct, and you'll have to shim it with washers, but you're gonna see that this one fits perfectly for the 73 through 79 Ford truck springs. So great install right there. Now let's go to the rear position. Okay, for the rear position, I reamed the holes out with a 7/16 bit to get me my fitment. So now they should just simply go right in. And for these ones, I go from the outside to the inside, because you don't want to have any contact with the shackle on the outside, and there's plenty of room inside the frame to get everything torqued down correctly, so you'll have no issues there. I can torque those later just to make sure everything's nice and tight, but there you go. The two brackets on the driver's side are installed, and yep, they look great. No issues putting them on whatsoever. Just painted them, reamed the holes, and that's it. You're ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the other side on. All four brackets are now on, no issues with anything. And now we're ready to actually install our springs. And here's where things are going to get difficult if you have inferior brackets, because it's just not going to line up properly. But you're going to see that this bracket right here is a perfect fit. So I like to put the forward position in first, because there's no adjusting the forward position. It just simply goes in, and it is where it is. There's no, you know, you're not moving it at all. So once it's in there, it's in there. Just get it lined up. Okay, don't forget your washer on the bolt. And you can see how that is a precise, perfect fit. The aftermarket brackets that I have on the Dearborn, they didn't fit at all, because again, those are for OBS trucks and they're just slightly different. You can see it's not even tightened down yet, and it's already a perfect fit. So now we can do the rear portion. Now, something to note for the rear position is that you want to get this bolt here at the top in first into the spring. So we're going to put that one in first, and then we're going to pull the spring up, put that bolt in first, and then let it down into the bracket with the other bolt, so it'll be set in properly. These are from another company, but Vintage Truck and 4x4 is currently working on a hanger bracket for the suspension, and that should be out early next year. And of course, I will update you once that is available. Okay, and there you go, that is in. And you can see how nicely that fits in. Definitely a really, really good fit. Getting our suspension, our rear leaf springs in, and these are a 4-inch lift spring. The reason that we have this bolt facing outwards is because if you have it facing in on the inside, you can see when the bracket or when the hanger goes to its full up position, once there's weight on it, the bolt is going to hit the bracket and it's going to damage the bracket going all the way across. So you absolutely cannot have that. You have to put this one in this position, and then this one is supposed to go in towards the inside, and there's plenty of room to get that bolted down from the inside. So now what I'm going to do is, this is mocked up and everything's on loose. Now I'm going to throw the other side spring. So our rear suspension is now all bolted in, and everything went in great as expected, which was really, really nice. So now we're going to talk about our rear axle, and this is a Dodge Dana 60 rear axle. Now, for those of you that don't know, from 2000 until 2001, roughly, or maybe 02, Dodge offered a Dana 60, 70, and 80 disc rear that had the standard bolt pattern, and this is one of those rears. Now, I'm probably going to end up putting a 70 in this rear. I only have a 60 right now, but I did put an 80 in the Cummins swap truck, and it's the same middle wheel spacing, and they bolt in really, really nice. All you have to do is just cut all the brackets off, and you have yourself a bolt-in disc brake rear, and you can get the brake parts for it from, you know, the AutoZone or Rock Auto or whatever, and it's a really, really good setup. And the other nice thing is the pinion adjustments are on the outside of the race, so they're not on the inside. They're a real pain to build the older Ford rears. But all I have is just a simple slot bracket like that. I have a lift block off of a Super Duty, so a 17 and up Super Duty. This is just a standard size lift block. I think it's 1.5 inches. So we'll see how that fits here, and then I can order a bigger lift block if needed, and then a standard top plate, U-bolt plate. I pulled out the Super Duty block, the 2-inch block, and I went with the 3s just for mock-up here to see what everything looks like, but I could already tell that the 2s were not enough, and I threw some U-bolts on there so it's nice and together. Okay, now that we have our rear wrapped up, we're gonna move back to the front. I'm gonna show you how to do a really cheap big brake upgrade on these Dana 60 Kingpins. It's the first time I'm gonna be doing one with some nice Wilwood calipers. But before we do, I wanna show you one other product from Vintage Truck and 4x4. It is their brand new U-bolt saddles. This product was just released. It's brand new. I have one of the first sets here. And here's the issue, is that the original ones that you're going to find on your trucks are completely rusted out, and a lot of times you're going to find hairline fractures, and they're really just a service item. And not only are they hard to find in usable shape, but oftentimes you don't even know that they're bad. And you can see this one here has been cut. I mean, it's really no good. It shouldn't be used anymore. The Vintage Truck and 4x4 one is way thicker, and obviously it's brand new metal. You can see the difference here in how much nicer it is. It's cut out, so it's not going to be crushed when you go and bolt your U-bolts down. And speaking of which, we're also going to be doing a U-bolt upgrade. The ones that you get from the big box suspension companies are not really that good. We're going to do a 5/8 square upgrade that is nice and tight against the spring. You can see here it's going on nice and snug, which is what you want instead of having space. The ones that you're going to get from the spring companies are 3 1/4, but they really should be 3. So we're going to take these off and we're going to upgrade it with a better one here. So let's go ahead and get this together. I'm going to get these nuts. Okay, so install of this part is pretty basic and straightforward. You're just taking this one off, throwing it in the trash, and you're putting the new one on there, and you can see how nicely it fits. And it's going to have plenty of room for the U-bolts to go down and not make contact and crush the bracket and crack it over time, which is really what you want. You want to go ahead and do a 5/8 U-bolt upgrade while you're here. A nice snug fit, and you can see it's not rocking back and forth like it would with a 9/16. That's what you want. There we go. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is just button up my bottom saddle, and the front upgrade's done, and then we can move on to the brakes here. So the front suspension is all together, and unfortunately I did make a minor mistake here. I ordered the wrong brackets that I was going to use for my brakes. So unfortunately we have to hold off on the big brake upgrade for right now, so I'll get that to you in a later video. So what we're going to do now is let's put the wheels and tires on this thing, get the cab mounts together, and let's drop the body back on this truck for the first time in a long time. I'm seeing this, I'm thinking I probably should have gone with the 2-inch blocks in the back. Too late for that now. We'll change it out later if we need to. Let's get this cab on this frame and see what it looks like. I don't even know if it's going to fit with the firewall mods I made for the ZF5. We will find out here shortly. All right, and we're inching ever so close here. I'm gonna go down the last few inches a little bit at a time, bring you back when it's sitting on the frame. Okay, and this is about an hour later because, yep, I had some more clearance work to do, but it is on there, and believe it or not, this body fits on this chassis with a ZF5 with no body lift whatsoever. So the first things first, let's take a look at the firewall modifications One last change I had to make really quick on the transmission. You can see there's a little piece that sticks out right there, part of the casting. I went ahead and cut that. Instead of bashing the body in, I just cut about, a half an inch off of that. And then you can see here on the firewall, the clearances, I used the big BFH and I got that firewall back into place where I needed it to be so the ZF5 would fit in. Doesn't look great, but sometimes you just need to do a little thing called clearance, and now it fits perfectly fine. Looking at this truck, I am blown away by how this project is going. I was worried there for a bit that I picked the wrong lift block for the rear, but now that I'm seeing it, we're up about 1 degree in the rear compared to the front. It's pretty good. I can already see the springs are going down here, settling nicely. So this is really, really looking good. I'm liking the ride height on this, so I think I'm going to keep this ride height. Let's take a look inside the cab here. See what changes I had to make to fit the ZF5 in. They weren't terrible, but it's definitely not a bolt-in application. So as far as the tunnel's concerned, I had to just snip a little piece out right here and just a small shave right here. But you can see that obviously the factory tunnel cover is not going to fit. Obviously your factory NP205 shifter is not going to work. We're going to have to go remote. So I'm going to do this truck the way I did the Cummins swap. Remote transfer case shifter. I'll put it right here like I did on the other one. And I'm probably going to take a factory tunnel hump and I'm going to have to modify it. We're going to have to lift it up higher. So that's something else to consider. Of course, it's going to change the floor covering as well. So I have some figuring out to do on that, but I did not want to do a body lift on this truck. I hate body lifts. I don't like the way they look. I don't like how you raise the center of gravity. I don't like how the bumpers don't fit. So I was determined to get that transmission in there without doing a body lift, and I figured if I could get an NV5600 in one of these trucks, I can get a ZF5 in one of them, and I feel pretty good that that fits. I might do a little more BFH work on the firewall, but overall, really, really, really great fit. Everything looks awesome. Want to give a special shout out, of course, to Vintage Truck and 4x4. Their suspension stuff looks awesome, as you can see here. All of the front components, including the crossover bar, the U-bolt plate, the rear shackle for the front springs, the complete new shackle kit, frame brackets for the rear, also looks really good. And this truck is to the point now where we can start talking about getting a fuel tank in this thing, getting the Holley Sniper 2 set up, done and ready to go, and hear this truck fire up. I'm super pumped. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Dentside Depot. Remember to like and subscribe and keep restoring those classic trucks.